The story of King Arthur is a legend. I grew up with tales of King Arthur and the wizard Merlin and the sword Excalibur. The legend goes, Arthur was crowned king in the 5th century. When someone becomes the king or queen, it is in a ceremony called a coronation where a crown is placed on their head. They are crowned king or crowned queen. I'm not sure what Arthur's background was, but in some stories, he was the son of King Uther Pendragon but had somehow been brought up ignorant of this fact. He was not aware that he was the son of a king. He was ignorant about his father. He was raised in a simple family and became a squire to a knight called Sir Kay. A knight is a special rank or award that the king or queen can give you. They make you a knight by knighting you, which is another ceremony where you kneel and the king or queen places a sword on your shoulder and asks you to stand up by saying, "Arise Sir Jack, for example, and from that moment on, you have the title Sir. So you're not Mr. or Drive, you are Sir. Arthur was Sir Kay's squire. A squire was like a butler or full-time servant for a knight. When Arthur was still a boy, King Uther was killed by an evil character called Vortigern. I love it in stories when the baddies have really evil-sounding names. You know that a character is not going to be good with a name like Vortigern. Arthur was the rightful heir to the throne and should have become the king. But Vortigern took the crown as Arthur had no idea that his father was the dead king. An heir is the person that receives the money or property from someone when they die. Usually, when a person dies, if they have children, their children inherit their property or money. The children are usually the heirs. The crown is the special hat that the king or queen wears. But the word can also be used to talk about their role and responsibility of being king or queen. You can also use the word throne in the same way. The throne can mean the special seat that the king or queen sits on, and it can also mean the role of king. Arthur should have inherited the crown as he was the heir, but Vortigern took the throne. Now it seemed that God or the gods were not happy about this. You see, there was a legendary sword called Excalibur. I've used the word sword a couple of times now. It's a weapon with a long blade, a long sharp edge. A bit like a really long knife that knights used to fight with. I think that this word is well known, but the dictionary says B2. It's written with a silent W, sword, but pronounced sword. Excalibur was the sword of the true king, but at some point in the past, it had been lost. However, everybody at the time knew about Excalibur and believed the sword would return if England was in trouble. Shortly after Vortigern had killed Uther and taken the throne, Excalibur appeared sticking out of a large stone in a church graveyard on Christmas Eve. As I said, everybody back then knew about this sword and that it would appear when England was in trouble and only the true king could wield it. Wield is an advanced verb and it's used with weapons or tools when you are holding them as if you are going to use them. So if you pick up a sword and have a look, that's not the same as wielding it, but if you start swinging it around like you want to chop someone, then you are wielding it. The blade of the sword Excalibur was buried deep in a stone. People tried to pull the sword out, but it was firmly stuck. Nobody could pull it out no matter how hard they pulled. It became clear to everyone that only the true king could remove the sword. Lots of people had tried to pull it from the stone. Even Vortigern had a go, but the blade wouldn't budge, it wouldn't move at all. Over time, the sword in the stone became a local legend and anyone visiting the area would try to have a go. When Arthur was a teenager, he was visiting the area and happened to pass by the churchyard on his way home and went to take a look at the legendary sword. When he was there, he accidentally let on Excalibur and freed it from the stone. He was afraid that he would get into trouble, so he quickly put the sword back and rushed home. He didn't try to pull Excalibur from the stone, he just leant on the sword and it fell out. He pulled the sword from the stone by accident or accidentally, it wasn't on purpose. Anyhow, the young Arthur was afraid when he pulled Excalibur from the stone, so he ran home. He was still working for Sir Kay then and told the old knight what had happened in the churchyard. Right away, Sir Kay started telling everyone he could. He called for a crowd of people to return to Excalibur so that everyone could witness Arthur remove Excalibur from the stone. If you witness something, you see it happen with your own eyes. Normally, we use the word witness with crimes. Witnesses are people that saw a crime happening and will testify in court. Sir Kay knew that Arthur would need witnesses if he could pull Excalibur from the stone. Sure enough, back in the churchyard, with a crowd around, Arthur takes Excalibur by the hilt, that is the handle of the sword. Arthur takes Excalibur by the hilt and draws it effortlessly from the stone. Many strong people had tried to pull Excalibur out of the stone. They had pulled really hard, with all their strength, but the blade wouldn't